Okay, we have another special guest on the show today. She's probably one of the busiest, if not the busiest content creator I know in the hobby. She's a popular breaker, card collector, podcaster as well. The list goes on. So I'm grateful she made the time for this podcast, and I'm excited to talk with her about the hobby. So without further ado, Stephanie Garcia, aka Mamabreaks, welcome to the pod.
Clark, thank you so much for having me on. This never gets old. Getting asked to be on a podcast always feels like I'm a celebrity, honestly, which I'm not, but we're all busy and I'm definitely super new at podcasting. So always grateful to come on and even just learn from everyone too. So thank you for having me.
No, great to have you on. And in my books, you're a celebrity in the hobby, so this is a privilege. And speaking of which, I normally ask my guests what their hobby origin story is, but because you are so prolific and consistent when it comes to putting out content, I feel like anyone that follows you on social media, we already know parts of your hobby journey. So what I wanted to do instead is kind of do a quick fact check for me, if you could do that for me about your journey to start this interview. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so first I learned that you started off as a Pokemon collector.
hmm
And how long ago was that? Was that in grade school
Oh,
or?
that was definitely in grade school. Yeah, I
Okay,
was obsessed with the show. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old when I started doing that. And that was a
okay,
big part of my childhood.
all right. You're not the only one. We've interviewed other people, and Pokemon cards almost was like a gateway for sports cards later on in life. And I think this part is similar to myself, where you fell in love with the game of baseball, like I did, and then started collecting baseball cards soon thereafter. I'm assuming you're a Dodgers fan because you're based in
Dodger
LA.
fan. Born
Okay.
and raised in LA as a Dodger fan, yep.
Nice. Any rookies that you remember chasing back then?
You know what? So I was maybe in high school when I started really like playing softball more competitively and getting into baseball like in the more competitive side. So when I
Hmm.
started opening cards, I was chasing just Dodgers. So my favorite Dodgers, Matt Kemp,
Mm,
Clayton Kershaw at the time was a rookie, but I really had no idea I was chasing his rookie card.
right.
Like the designations on the cards weren't that like apparent as they are now, and
Mm,
nor did I
true.
even know anyone who collected baseball cards. So I didn't really have like anybody to tell me, "Hey, the rookies are good."
Right.
But I it was just lucky I was opening like what was it 2008 update a ton from
Yeah.
Target. That's one of my favorite designs for that reason, but yeah, it
Nice.
was fun stuff.
Yeah. Good timing too. Kershaw's not a bad guy to collect as a rookie.
I mean, good timing for Pokemon too, but we didn't keep any of them,
That's
unfortunately.
right. Oh yeah, yeah. That's heard that before for sure.
Great timing.
Yeah, yeah. Also, the last thing I want to do a quick fact check on your Instagram bio. You went from being a teacher to being in the hobby full time. So I'm wondering how was that transition, and when did you decide that what you're doing now is what you wanted to do more on a regular basis?
That's a great question. So, I definitely have had my fair share of different careers in my short life so far. I'm
Hmm.
only 32. And I think letting go of my first career to pursue teaching was one of my biggest leaps that I made. So,
Sure.
I tell people that kind of prepped me for
Mm,
what it was when I went into teaching. I started doing breaks part time essentially on the weekends
right.
while I was teaching from home, and even when we went back in person. So it just started becoming a little daunting. It started
Mm,
off as like something I do on the weekends. Started getting a little more successful. The content started picking up. I started getting deals to go up, travel to do content. So the success was a little overwhelming because I had so much to do. I have 2 kids as well. I have a
mm,
family.
yeah.
We have a home, and it just became a matter of my husband just really essentially just pushing me towards this
Yeah.
because he's like, hey, he saw how much I loved it, and there came a point where we decided I have to choose one or the other
Mm,
because something's got to give, and I figured I can always go back to teaching. And this is something that I want to pursue full time and really, really put everything I have into it, into
yeah.
building a business for us. And the way kind of I want to do breaking, the way I kind of want a hobby. And so far, it's been a great journey. I'm, I want to say this week is like my 2 year anniversary of quitting teaching. So I've been out of teaching for
Mm,
2 years now.
wow.
Yeah.
That's yeah, quite an achievement. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah, no, I love hearing that, and I can definitely echo what you're saying about having support from the spouse. My wife also the same thing, and then you know it's so key to my success here doing content full time. So yeah, love hearing that.
100% believe me, this was not my idea. If my husband didn't have the idea and kind of supported me and egged me on, and he's very much my biggest fan, I don't think I would have done it, honestly.
Yeah, great to hear. All right,
Mhm.
well, you know what? I feel many of us know you as Mama Breaks, right? That's how you got started in the hobby. And I want to ask you, what made you want to get into the breaking side of the business? There's so many different ways to get into the hobby, but yeah, why breaking? What was that process like? And I'm wondering, I asked, we had a few other breakers on the show, and I always ask the same thing. Was it overwhelming at all, like to get things started? Because I feel like for breaking, there's a lot of moving parts, to get started.
Absolutely. So the main reason why I wanted to do breaking was because that was the first thing that I encountered in the hobby that I absolutely loved.
Okay.
I, you know, I started learning about cards on eBay and stuff and doing my research and kind of buying on eBay. And then it wasn't until I started looking for sports card content on TikTok and Instagram, right? And I
Yeah.
started coming across these people on Instagram that were essentially live all night long, just
Right.
ripping product for people. And people, not only were they ripping product for people, buying them like the rip and ships, they
Yep.
had a room of people enjoying those rips together.
Yeah.
So I very quickly became a regular in one of those rooms. And I just loved it. I loved being part of the community. I loved I love ripping and
Yeah.
the person who was the facilitator of the room of the community. I just saw how like this guy shows up 3 times a week no matter what.
Yeah.
I think he was doing like Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and no matter what, I'm there Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, because not only is he going to be there, but P Barry, shout out to P Barry if he ever sees this, and everyone else in that room
Yeah.
that remembers me, and I remember. um I fell in love with it. So I felt like, hey, I was a teacher. I can facilitate a room.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
can make sure everybody feels welcome and
Yeah.
excited, and I can show up every week and do this for people. It's a lot more than just cards for me. I really enjoy the people that come and hang out with me in the streams, and the great cards that we pull are just really great memories.
Yeah.
I personally, I love cards, and every single one of those big hits or even the smaller hits that maybe were like a big PC card for someone,
Yeah.
they're just really great memories.
Yeah. It's exciting when you see the
Hmm.
emotions on some of these, people getting these hits. It
Yeah.
is great to see and
My
hear.
favorite is when they'll send me like videos of their reactions.
Oh,
They'll
nice.
so they'll be like, "Oh my god." Oh, or they send
Yeah.
me one of my favorites was we were doing WWE, and his someone in our room, his kids loved it. So he's like, "Hey Steph, if I'm gonna buy a box and my kids are watching," he's like, "and I'm recording them." And we pulled like a big Cody Rhodes and they were getting crazy. And you see
Nice.
that stuff like that I'll always remember, and it's why I want to keep doing it more and more.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It's funny. Before I drop off my son at school, we opened a quick pack of Pokemon cards, and we hit a nice gold Mew. So he went off to school happy. So yeah, just the reaction of kids and seeing that expression on his face. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I love ripping with my kids too.
So much fun. Well, speaking of breaking, I know you're on the Fanatics Live platform, and I was just watching one of your videos on their Instagram page, and you introduced the idea there of doing bilingual breaks in the future, which I
Mhm.
think is an amazing idea, especially because I read somewhere the most growth in the hobby right now, at least, is due to international growth, like collectors
Absolutely.
from around the world getting into the hobby. So what made you initially think of potentially offering breaks in a language other than English?
Well, I just feel like a big thing of about what I've done so far is trying to get new people in to the hobby as much as possible, right? So it's no, I mean, you can see here, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, but I'm Mexican American. My parents were born in Mexico and El Salvador,
Yep.
and we speak Spanish. Spanish was my first language, and trying to get my family into this card stuff is kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
There is that like cultural barrier there.
Sure.
Collecting things is not very much something that I I experienced growing up. It's very much a luxury, and
Hmm.
you know, we have a rich history of collecting like luchador cards
Hmm.
in Mexico,
Wow.
but I feel like that's a way like not even in the vicinity of where my family grew up in Mexico and all that. But there's a lot of rich history. I'm trying to like connect to my family more when it comes to this stuff, but I think language is definitely one of the barriers there.
Right.
So being able to provide that kind of explain what cards are in a way that they can understand in Spanish is something that I've been trying to do for the past few years.
Yep.
I think being able to do breaks that way would be, like you said, definitely a really great way to break a barrier and open up a whole new entry
Hmm.
point for a whole new group of
Agree.
people. So the only thing is, I just need to get over it's I yes, Spanish was my first language. I do not have any formal training in Spanish. I think that's something that kind of keeps me a little reserved from it.
Right.
But there's no way, there's no reason why I can't just start now. And after visiting Spain a couple
Mm,
of
right.
weeks ago
Yeah.
and feeling so at home in there and recognizing that hey, everybody speaks Spanish in Spain, and
Hmm.
feeling so comfortable, and finally speaking to people about cards in Spanish
Yep.
was very, very moving for me. And also realizing that they don't really have card shops over there,
Hmm.
and cards aren't really a thing despite how huge the game of football is, soccer.
Sure. Yeah.
They're more inclined to think, oh, collectibles with soccer is panini stickers. So
Right.
it's definitely something that Tops is really working on to grow over there, and I hope I'm trying to be a big part of that. So speaking Spanish helps.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I hope to see that soon. And yeah. No. It's. I love seeing. Even on my Instagram accounts. Um, Hobby Korea and Beijing cards like everywhere around
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
world. That's so cool to see that people are getting into the hobby that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of Fanatics, it's definitely making a real impact in the hobby, and especially in this growing industry. And we've already seen the ups and downs. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about where we're heading in this industry, generally speaking? And is there anything you would like to see more of in our hobby?
Absolutely. So generally speaking, I would definitely have to allude to the Tops conference this year.
Hmm.
We had a fireside chat with Michael Rubin, Mike Mahan,
Nice.
and Avery. So that he led. So that was a really eye-opening experience there. It kind of was setting the tone for everything that they have been doing so far, which is, innovating with product.
Mm,
The MLB debut patches were
love it.
incredible,
Yeah.
right? Having these like retro fractors
Hmm.
or experiences tied to cards, like everyone who pulled the Wemby redemption got to meet Wemby.
Amazing.
Like these are just unprecedented ideas,
Yeah.
and they've only really acquired Tops for maybe 3 years. First
Hmm.
year, really nothing. They did that in their second year. We're now going into our third, like really third official year,
Right.
and it just feels like they're ready to run
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're gonna bring in hobby rip night. We're gonna bring in hobby break nights.
Hmm.
They're gonna bring a lot more athletes in this to see like Tom Brady opening cards, to see rookies like Josh Young and Corbin Carroll
Yeah.
opening
So
cards.
cool.
Like they're really just making cards cool, and that's really, really what we need.
Yeah.
Talk about like language barriers. So what about the barriers to people that think that cards are still like a nerdy thing to do?
Right. Right.
Like they're making cards cool. We have Kevin Hart autographs, we have Meek Mill autographs, we have Tom Brady signing in a baseball
Yeah.
product. Like all this stuff just makes it super exciting. And I'm so happy that it's just focused on connecting with the players, connecting with people who, we admire, who we decide to collect.
Yeah. For
Because, like,
sure.
I
Love it.
remember growing up, I love Gwen Stefani.
Hmm. Okay.
My room was covered with posters of Gwen Stefani.
Yep.
If there was a trading card set where I could pull a Gwen Stefani autograph card when I
Yeah.
was 12 years old,
Yeah.
I would have
You went for it.
blown away by it. So like,
Yeah.
that's another step right there. We're gonna have a lot of great non-sport cards this year. Dune Chrome
Hmm.
is coming out. Stranger Things Chrome's coming back to the Tops, under the Tops umbrella.
With
So
that show. Yeah.
I'm excited. That's generally speaking, I'm excited.
Yeah. No. You and me both. And And I assume you're going to go to Fanatics Fest in New York City.
I will be there. Yep.
Okay. Hopefully we can catch up there because that'll be my first show outside of Canada.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those experiences that just we can't miss.
I
And
agree.
and
I really think that the first one's gonna be they're gonna put it all out there.
yeah.
It's also gonna be, I believe, the 1 year anniversary of Fanatics Live around that time.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I don't imagine they will not go big for that. So
They'll do something special for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm already counting down the days till mid-August for that show. Just going back to what you do on the content creation side of things, and I've talked to other content creators as well, and we kind of all agree that consistency is probably the key to growing an audience. And the same thing with breaking. You're kind of mentioning how you could depend on that one breaker to come on these days to build that audience, to build that community, and
Absolutely.
so I'm wondering, how do you, I guess, stay consistent, and on top of things you're already doing. Like that's always the big challenge, right?
Oof, that's a great question. And I learned it the hard way this time last year. So I actually realized that last June 2023,
Mm-hmm.
I came to a point where my business was growing a lot
Yep.
and I had a decision to make. Obviously, I'm only one person, right? At the time, I did have Derek, who's now my office manager, helping me sort,
Mm-hmm.
but even that was not enough. And I came to a point of realization that I have to post every day if I want to grow.
Right.
And I gave myself a challenge. So I still did my business as I did. I had to do my breaks every week. That's just what I had to do.
Yep.
But on top of that, I challenged myself to post every day for a month. I did it. The month of June 2023, I posted every single day.
Okay.
And I realized that this is not sustainable.
Right.
I cannot run my business
Yeah,
the way
it's
I
hard.
want it to be at the capacity, at the level that I want it to be,
Mm.
and post every day. So immediately, what I knew had to happen was I had to hire someone to help me break,
Right.
and I had to hire someone to help me with content creation. So I've been extremely blessed to find a really great team. I now have my trio, my three musketeers, my everything. They essentially really take care of those three pillars of my business right now.
Nice.
I'm kind of like do it all, but they do so much for me. So I think having a really great team of people when you get there
Yeah.
helps so much. So Eddie, he is a videographer and editor. He worked with me the first 6 months, just kind of shipping and learning everything that
Mm-hmm.
we do here.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this year, we decided to start YouTube. So we've been really on it. He
Nice.
works all week long with me. Mondays we plan. We'll plan reels to post every day on different platforms, and we'll plan YouTube videos to post every week. So,
Nice.
like, essentially, today is a day I won't break. We're going to head out to Burbank Sports Cards to make 2 or 3 videos and a
Yeah.
few reels there. So,
Nice. Yeah.
uh,
No, thanks for that tip. I'm kind of in that cusp as well, where it's becoming a little overwhelming just to do it by yourself. So it's always good to have a team, like you say, and it seems to be more fun as well to do things together as a team that you know.
absolutely. I understand, especially, like I'm very, again, blessed. I have that revenue that comes from breaking that I can
Yep.
essentially use to invest in content.
Sure.
But I would challenge everyone to maybe focus on the stuff that they really love doing.
Mm,
You feel that your
good tip.
strengths are,
Yes.
and really take a look at the things that you think you're not that great at that you can use some help in. And
Mm-hmm.
it could be something as easy as paying someone to do your thumbnails.
Right. Sure. That's
That's
simple.
a I
Yeah.
think just dipping that toe in there will help you feel how immensely helpful that is, and you'll just grow and grow from that, and that'll help you become more consistent, and then you'll see more growth, and
Yep.
that's how it works. I don't really think that anyone that we see out there that you would say is like a pinnacle of success has been able to do it all by themselves.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's good perspective for
Mhm.
anyone trying to grow their own channel. Yeah. I love seeing your content, and oftentimes I live vicariously through you with some of the experiences you've already had. Just being in the hobby. For example, the MLB All Star Game, that was pretty awesome. And you mentioned it before, going to Spain recently, breaking soccer cards. Are there any other memorable moments you've had where you can't believe what you're experiencing, all because of the hobby.
I mean, the All-Star game and the and Spain were two huge ones for me. Very
Yeah,
just out of control, out of this world. When I started doing this, those are things that I never even imagined possible for
right.
this. I didn't think I was gonna break and be like, yeah, one day I'm gonna break at the All-Star game. No idea, none at all. So when that stuff happens, it's still shocking.
Yeah.
But as they continue happening now, I've learned that hey, I can kind of create experiences like that for myself.
Okay.
So other moments that I've had is having like a Ian McKesson, a top sketch artist, come and break cards with me here in my office. Like
Cool.
that's just something that I just reached out and asked, and it was one of the funnest dreams I've ever done. He was able to sketch a X-wing starfighter on a Zion case that we gave away during stream.
Amazing.
Just doing the kids trade day at the Burbank Card Show. I did 3 of those, and every single one of them
Cool.
was so great and fun and got bigger and better. We had mascots coming in and dancing with them, and Pikachu's dancing with the kids and giving away packs. It's like those are the
Nice.
stuff that I just watch and kind of take a step back and just soak in and realize that we I it's so amazing to make so many people happy with cards. And if I can play any part in that, this is all worth it. And it feels so great.
Yeah,
So,
that's great to hear. And you kind of already answered this, but you know, through those experiences, I'm sure you've met a lot of cool people in the hobby. Is there anyone you're excited to meet in person? Because the opportunity just kind of presented itself, and you're kind of like, wow, this is amazing.
most definitely. I mean, there are a lot of incredible, successful people who I respect and admire that I've had the chance to not only meet, but really sit down with and talk to and learn from in this industry. I think just to name a few right off the bat, like Jeff Wilson of Sports Card Investor
Yeah, for
has
sure.
been a really great friend of mine through this, which I'm grateful for. Rich Layden of Layton Sports Cards, what
Yeah.
he's built is incredible. I've had the honor of sitting with him recently, and I'm looking at him right now. He's one of my inspirations here. I leave on my desk. Michael Rubin.
Of course.
I was able to meet Michael Rubin about 2 years ago for the first time. Talked and sat down with him one on one last year again, and he's just what he's built on Fanatics is incredible. I'm extremely grateful for how much he believes in me and how much of all of this he's built that's helped me grow my business. So that's his rookie card
That's cool.
that he
Yeah,
gifted me right there. So
that's
definitely
amazing.
meeting Michael Rubin was incredible. So
Yeah,
learned a lot from him too.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, you kind of already answered this question already, but I was going to ask you what you appreciate the most about the hobby, and it seems like generally speaking, it's always the people that we interact with in the hobby. And I find it the same way too in the hobby that even doing this podcast, it's people are so friendly, people are so willing to help out and to sit down and just chat about cards, which I find amazing. And I hope that others that are getting into the hobby have that kind of experience as well. Yeah.
I agree. And I think as long as we start spreading it, I say a lot of like about doing my part. As long as we spread it and do our part every day, I think it'll become that. It's a beautiful thing to be a card collector. I think we are very aesthetically inclined and intellectually inclined,
Sure.
and we're very passionate, and we're very entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs at heart.
Yes.
So I think those are all qualities that we all have that we can, use to connect with each other more and teach each other and learn a lot from each other. So definitely I've grown so much as a person just being part of this industry and being a collector. So
Awesome. Awesome. I know we only have a couple of minutes, so I was wondering if I could just do a couple of rapid fire questions to end this interview.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like asking this first one. Favorite PC card for you right now?
Oh, I'll have to say my Sandy Koufax Clayton Kershaw dual patch auto
Wow.
booklet tier 1 2011.
Amazing card. Yeah, I could even picture it right now. Amazing. Is there a grail card you're currently chasing?
I don't know if currently chasing, but I do want to chase a Little Princess Leia Superfractor 1 of 1. I
Okay.
think her first one was in 23 Chrome, and that's technically her rookie card. So I
Yeah.
just think she's an amazing actress. Her performance as Leia in the Obi-Wan series was mind-blowing to me. So I really want one of her Superfractor rookie card. I need to find it.
Nice. I'll keep an eye out just in case I see it.
That's a grail for me.
Okay. Nice. This question hurts me a little bit because we know Otani was thinking about the Blue Jays, but he went to the Dodgers at the end of the day.
I felt sick to my stomach when I heard that. I was like, really?
Yeah, we're on other ends of that experience. But what's it like to have Otani play for the Dodgers? And do you see his card market cooling off anytime soon?
I mean, I guess it has already in a sense, but no. Like Otani cards are gonna be incredible always. Even the It's incredible having Otani play for the Dodgers. Growing up as a Dodger fan, having the best player in the world be on
Mm-hmm.
our team right now and just see the impact he's made in just a few months and having him for the next decade, going to
Right.
games and watching him with my kids
Yes.
it's essentially gonna be like watch my kids growing up watching Michael Jordan.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
insane. It's an honor, and I can't believe we almost lost into you guys. I'm telling you. I think my live reaction to that news was while it was breaking, and I was like, I need to get out of this chair. What is going on? And almost heartbreaking.
Well, time heals all wounds, so that's okay. And last question, we always make it a little bit more Canadian centric because we're based out of Canada. I didn't really ask you about your podcast, which is called Altered, and you co-host it with our fellow Canadian friend, Coach Ko, who we've also had on this podcast. So I'm wondering, do you have any general thoughts on Canadian collectors? Just from your interaction with Coach Ko, or perhaps others you've met in this great country of ours.
So definitely I need to make it out to an expo. That's
Yes.
100% now on the hobby bucket list. Everyone who I've met, I think Carlos, I don't know if you know
Yeah,
Carlos,
of
I've
course.
met
We
and
have
done a
had him
few
on the
videos
pod
with
as
him,
well. Yeah.
and his sister.
Yeah.
Incredible people, incredibly kind,
Yes.
incredibly passionate. And I'm just Brendan is the same.
Hmm.
So um yeah, nothing but great things to say and very excited. Definitely FOMOing the expo last time and definitely excited to make it out there soon.
Yes. Please come. Yeah, you'll have a great time for sure.
Jeremy's great as
Jeremy
well.
Lee, of course. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, Stephanie, again, thank you so much for coming on the pod. We appreciate your time and insight and hope our paths cross in the future.
Thank you so much, Clark.